So we have a king hunt scenario with Paul Morphy versus NN or No Name back in 1858. So we have a centralized king lured out by a fried liver type attack. Okay, so how do we catch the king right now? I'll just briefly go back to, let's just review real quickly how we got here. So it's kind of a quasi fried liver, right? Because fried liver itself would be bishop, well, knight to g5 in conjunction with the bishop to take f7, right? So first he throws in d4. Common idea to blast open lines, get your bishop out quickly. Pawn takes, you can play e5 whenever you want to get through there. Okay, knight g5, there's your fried liver idea. Pawn blocks, typical response, takes. So the idea here is that you sack on f7 and lure the king up. But again, it's kind of a quasi fried liver because he actually castles. So this is not really, it's the same idea. See, now he does the same. We're using the motif of taking f7, queen f3 check. This is the main idea that we want. So we've invested a knight, right? We've sacrificed one knight, check him. So now we have a fork, right? We have a pin already on the knight. Now we're forking the knight and the king. We lure him to e6. That's the whole point. That if we are luring him in the middle, if you don't want to come to the middle, okay, you might get mated here. If you want to block, you're getting mated here, right? So basically it's like, well, you just gave me the material back and I still have a raging attack and I've castled and your king is certainly not going to get saved. I mean, for example, let's say he runs to, like if he runs to e8, okay, just give me my material back. We have equal material and white's basically, I mean, it's a winning position because you have a crushing attack. You can't castle. Yeah, it's just terrible. So the idea is that in the fried liver, again, this is not an exact move order, but exact same concept. Precisely the same. Just luring him to e6, pressuring d5. And interestingly, he hangs his knight. Obviously, the knight can't take its pin, but the pawn could take. Pawn takes, but he's opening up the d as well as the e file. We have two open files. Check, of course. Of course, bishop f4, we want to take that. We just want to get one of our pieces back with check, but keep throwing. I mean, you don't have to. We just keep throwing wood in the fire. But if we win a piece back with check, we'll take it. All right, so he's holding on to everything. Now, bishop takes. Okay, so how do we further this? Like, well, why are you giving up your bishop for the knight? Why are we trading this off? We want to keep our attackers. But we also need to reach him immediately, right? We can't just keep building slowly. He'll have time for queen d6 consolidation, get the king out of the way, maybe to the queen side or even castle by hand. So here we are. So now what's going on, guys, with the bishop? Why did he decide to take at this moment? Now, actually, right before we started recording, we were looking quickly at c6 for what, like, for example, rook 81, there's c6. So you notice by not giving him time for c6, even though the inclusion of rook 81 is good, by not giving him time, we're keeping this knight loose, right? So it may not be the rook that takes, it might be the queen that takes, if we can, or the bishop, depending on where the king goes. What if he runs to the left? See? Then it can fall immediately. That's his idea there. So now after takes, what do you think white does to keep the, you just got to keep the fire burning. Got to keep sacrificing it because he just cannot consolidate or else he wins, basically. So what do you think we do here with white? So if you're watching it, you can pause. But you have
I guess the rook takes the bishop.
Excellent, excellent. Exactly. Rook takes check. I mean, look, so we've only got 3 attackers. They've got, well, they only have, I mean, what do they have out? They have a king in the middle, one of the 4 central squares. They have a knight out. They have queen is back home, kind of guarding feebly. You have a rook in the corner, rook in the other corner, bishop undeveloped. So again, you give them one moment to like bring out the bishop, they can hang on. They can hang on to the position, right? Okay, so now we check them. No time for them, right? And like I said, see now we're luring them over to the left where the knight's going to be hanging, basically, right? So you can see it's kind of like a ladder mate theme, right? Where you lure them out because you got the queen on the F file. Then you ensure you have a rook on the E file, like a ladder mate, where you keep walking them over. I mean, if you keep walking them, that's basically what's going to happen. We're going to keep walking him over, and he's going to get mated on one of the, probably on like the B or A file, right? And he's going to have to be in front of his pawns and in front of our pawns, couched, sandwiched in between our and their queenside pawns. So it's like, it's not good. It's like a vice. And then our pawns can avalanche him, or he just can't go very far. See, now we can take or we can check immediately. Now we finally get the piece back. Okay, so what? We're just down a rook. Not much, right? We're only down a rook. It's worth it, right? What's the idea here? Why can we simply, I mean, we probably could have tossed in a rook check, but then he takes our bishop. So we're going to utilize our bishop while we can. take his knight, and it's actually taboo. We'd say the bishop's taboo on d5. Why is that? It's immune to capture. Why? Pure tactic there.
Is it because of that diagonal from H to A8?
This diagonal here?
Yeah.
Well, the queen is helping us there, and the rook's going to help us. Well, that's all we got. That's all we got left. Well, we got the pawns. Actually, we actually do have the pawns, which are helping us mate him right now. Pretty cool, huh? Actually, funny enough, the first thing I looked at, I was like, oh yeah, you can skewer him. Of course you can, right? We can get a skewer. We're going to mate there very soon as well. But I'll take a mate in 1. You see that one? That's actually a mate in 1. So now let's go back a second. See, the knight was actually guarding that. If you go back as to why it's important to do this, you're threatening the mate in 1. If you do it now, well, you lose your queen. Not worth it yet, right? So it's very important. The bishop's kind of in our way in a sense. But we're not going to give it up if we don't need to, unless we're sure we have a mate with the 2 pieces. We're like, why not just take the knight while we can? It's immune to capture. And then we're threatening mate. Oh, no, sorry. It's only mate when the queen takes. But it's bad. It's bad. We got rook coming. Again, kind of like a ladder mate scenario. We're just catching the king on the central squares. And worst comes to worst, he runs over to the queen's side. We catch him over there. Do not let him wrap around and come back to the king's side, though. That's where he might survive. So be careful. Okay. So we have to give up the appropriate amount of material while containing him. So it's like a fine balance. It's a balancing act between luring him out and containing him, right? Like you lasso him around, right? Okay, so what now? So they're not giving us the mate though, because again, queen takes c3, now the king takes d5. Okay. Queen d3, simultaneously guarding the bishop. Just, again, you just got to keep throwing stuff at him. Well, now if he takes, you get to go rook b1. See how we're getting this ladder mate scenario? So then you get rook b1, and that's done. Wait, it doesn't. I don't think it makes a huge difference. They're probably both mating. Check, 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 checkmate. There are a few ways to do it, right? I'm guessing he was in a simul. It says casual. I'm guessing it was a simul. No, it just says the Big Easy for New Orleans. It doesn't say. It's the game of the day from 2012, July 12th, 2012. Interesting. The Perot variation of the 2 knights defense. So it's like a quasi fried liver thing. But again, fried liver is the knight g5, you take f7 and stuff. But interesting. Here. Now the question I had was what if he goes here? Well, then we have a new check, which is very enticing. What would that be? But again, you got to keep, almost always you should keep checking him.
With the queen to basically force the king into a corner.
With which move? Which queen where?
D4.
It's kind of faint. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but yeah, you see it. You got it.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the only good check, really. Yeah. So check, and then you're luring him to the corner or a4, and then we do a little ring around the pawn thing. It's kind of nice there, and same thing, same mate here on a5. So yeah, let's look at the flow. It's always good to look at the flow real quick. Let's just look at the flow of the game, see how it happened again. And we have the capture. Let's review. So fried liver concept, right? Funny enough, I was actually calculating this recently. It's from an idea from a Spassky game where I don't recall. I think his opponent did it to him to like stop his attack. So sometimes if the queen weren't hanging, sometimes you can actually castle when the knight's on f7. You can legally castle, right? You wouldn't do it now, but if the queen moves, you can castle. So it's like you don't have to take it, but effectively it's a fork then, right? So he doesn't want to lose the material. If you must, you play queen d7, but he just takes it. So he gains material for now, but now if he really wants to keep the material again, it's a Faustian bargain because now he lures his king to e6. So pretty vicious. And then he hangs the second piece. I love it, right? Just very, very casually flinging his pieces about, but it's very deliberate, right? It's deliberate because you're opening the 2 files in the middle. Check. Then we have our bull horn. We have we'll call them, I guess, our devil horns now with our Faustian bargain. So we got our 2 horns coming out to f4 and c4. But I like this. It's a very interesting picture, isn't it? It's yeah, this picture of the 2 bishops versus the 2 knights. And he's just like trying to hang on for dear life. So bishop f6 takes. But the way the static way of approaching this, which is natural to look at, would be like queen g3. Say, hey, look, let's just pile up on it. But again, the static approach will fail because they're gonna like consolidate with the queen move and the rook over c6. You might get a piece back, but again, they'll be able to consolidate enough to not get mated. But when you do this move, again, now we've lured him into this kind of ladder. You guys see what I mean?
Yeah, and it
Go ahead.
seems that when you lure him into this pattern, you got to keep the attack going constantly. You can't give up because, like you say, you give the queen an opportunity, or you come up to c6 or something, and so you got to keep the attack going.
Exactly. So as you can see, every single move, and I just put the move there where if he had gone to d6, it would have been a mate, queen take, because now and that's what I said about we don't want rook d1 because then he goes c6. Imagine this position, your rook's on d1, but there's a pawn on c6. Uh-oh, now the king can escape to c7. It's not mate, and the pawn could take back on d5. Even if you sack something, pawn can still take back once, and the king could run. So we don't have enough material. Sometimes you just keep running, go to b8, queen blocks on c7. There's no dark square bishop, he escapes, right? So we have to really be careful there. So as you said, Lynn, very natural move would work in many cases. Rook d1 here, for example, hitting another pin piece. Nope, he goes c6. He creates an escape. So it's very important that we're able to we create the option of taking on d5 with the queen. Now that without the pawn being there, see, that's a mate. So we keep that option alive if queen takes d5 mate, no more guards. So that means he can't, but it's done then. If the king can't get in front, has to go on the other. If he can't go rather behind because the queen's going to be blocked, he goes in front. Now, obviously, that's once you find this move, you're going to wrap around and we get our mate. And again, we didn't look at this move, but this must be bad. We can just retreat our bishop, nice and elegant retreat, and that's a mate. I think that might be the only mate in one actually. No, you can also play this move. You can take on b7 because you're unleashing, can't go to c6. You got to stay on the diagonal and he's stuck. See? So it's kind of a ladder mate, right? Ladder mate in the middle of the board. A little bit of a ladder. Anyway, yeah, so that's that one. Okay, you guys, let's just look through a few of them. You guys ready for the next one?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, this time black ones. Let's flip it. So Bilyovsky, I think famous Russian player. There's a book, I have an endgame book by actually there's a book that he wrote with Karpov called The Caro-Kann in Black and White. So he describes the Caro-Kann from the white side, half the book, and then Karpov describes it from the black side. So then they'll look at like same lines, but from two different perspectives. It's pretty interesting. And I have an endgame book by him too. I think that's the one, the modern chess. What's it called? Something about modern chess endings. Okay, so knight f3, Tunisia, 1985. So interesting way of crushing the English, or this is the ready system actually. Even though you played knight f3, c4, this is the ready system. It's like similar to the English. Takes bishop here. So it's kind of like a queen's gambit, but white hasn't played d4. So again, one of these kind of weird hybrid openings, right? a4, so he's stopping b5, making it hard for black to guard this pawn. But you can see that there's a lot of weaknesses. A lot like b4 is weak and b3 is weak. So black will try to swarm. See, the knight can already. There's another thing I like this knight accepted. Your knight can go to a5 and guard the c pawn, make it hard for him to get the pawn back. So this is probably a dubious move. a5 to stop knight a5, but that's a wasted move. One, it's like, are you wasting these moves just to get a pawn back? You know what I mean? So he's getting maybe a little too focused on the material. Like, well, you shouldn't have gambited the pawn in the first place, right? That would be easy. Excuse me. But bishop b4, and you could take the pawn as well. There you go, right? So it's actually, I think we're seeing, I've never heard of this guy with the white pieces. So I think we're just seeing very strong GM just kind of outplaying his opponent, just like the previous game. But still got to show brilliant play. Okay, interestingly, so he gives away the knight. Bilyovsky takes it. Then he gets a fork. Now, if you go back with the knight, you see how the bishop's going to take with check. Then he's still going to get he's going to go boom, mess up his structure, tripled pawns. He gets his pawn, he gets it back. Probably not ideal for black. Not losing, but not ideal. So there are lines where you triple your pawns. But okay, so here he goes. So now he gets his piece back. 3, 4, okay, 8 versus 7. So but he really wants to get his pawn back. He's very fixated on that. Okay, so f4, bishop c6. So if you take the knight, you take the bishop. You take the bishop, knight takes back, right? So it seems okay for black here. Even the loose knight will not matter. So he takes back. He actually leaves the knight. He's really giving him a hard time. He's like, nope, you're not getting my pawn back yet. See? So he takes, knight takes back. So well, he's not losing the knight now because it's a tempo on the queen. But it's like, okay, well, I'm still guarding my c pawn. So what are you gonna do? And he's still guarding his c pawn. So he's like, no matter what, I'm gonna stay up a pawn. And that's actually a very strong pawn here. You know, because imagine the knight goes into d4 and sinks into like b3. That's a very annoying pawn, actually, even though it's doubled. And he has to worry about losing his a pawn too. But now he gains another tempo. So he's and now the c pawn's guarded twice for what it's worth. So black probably has basically a winning advantage. I mean, massive advantage, as you guys can see. The pawn actually matters here. But it's more so that white got so kind of fixated on holding on to his pawn that he compromised his position. Well, he missed some of these things, right? But queen d5 is very nice because now you guard the pawn again and you hit the rook. Okay, what do? Rook f1. They're too afraid to castle now, right? But now we're going to catch and that's what we're talking about. Lynn, you mentioned keeping him from castling, right? Here we go. When he's not castling, he was afraid though. I mean, look, if he castles, you got your knight coming, probably shove your h pawn down the board. And you know, we can castle kingside, queenside very comfortably here, can't we? Imagine that. We got queenside. We got so much protection. They're not going to do anything to our king for a while. So in the meantime, we're going to get them real quickly. h5, h4. You guys see that? Make your break on the h file. So that's why he's afraid to castle. And I mean, this is just a terrible position though. But hey, this will happen a lot of times. You guys, your opponents will get terrible positions. They're down a pawn, you got the central control, they're underdeveloped, their king stuck in the center. But if you don't exploit them, I'm sure you guys have had many, we've all had examples like that where you're like, oh, I had them. It was -5, and then you didn't exploit them. Oh, it's equal again, right? Or they're better. So we have to learn, that's why we're doing this. We're learning how to exploit them. Okay, there's a pawn. Oh, there we go, right? So this is where we give away this is reminiscent of the Immortal game. You guys recall the Immortal game where he gives away both of his rooks in the corners? Just because he has all the other pieces coming. In that case, he has a bunch of other pieces, then he sacks his queen. In this case, he has to be confident in his queen and 2 knights and maybe a c pawn. Do you guys recall that? Do you guys know the Immortal game? Recall all the sacrifices he made?
Yeah, I've seen several of them, yeah.
I mean, then you have I guess you'd say the Immortal game is the Anderssen one, but there are multiple Immortal games, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Yeah. Like the one with the capital T, I guess, the Immortal game. But then you have like, yeah, like Kasparov's Immortal and this and that. Someone else saying something?
I was just asking which Immortal game.
Yeah, I guess the Immortal game is, at least as I've seen it, you know, if you look up the Immortal game, it's going to be the Anderssen game that'll pop up on Google or something, right? And you have the Evergreen game by Anderssen, as we've talked about recently. And then you have all the other ones though. I mean, if you look up chessgames.com collections, you know, you'll see all these Immortals like Rubinstein. I mean, Rubinstein's is amazing. Beautiful the way he exploited the pins and stuff. Okay, so anyway. What's that?
The other day, I took the Evergreen game and imported it to Lee Chess so I could examine it with Stockfish, and there was some commentator who said it looked like a couple of 1500s playing, but I think that's just
no
the talk.
That's ridiculous. I mean, it's a brilliant game. I mean, maybe they look on the computer and that's just, I think that's someone who, well, it's just a dumb con. It's just, you know, it's just made in jest or whatever. But it's the kind of thing where you might look on the computer and it makes them look like they're 1500. Maybe more like, maybe not that much worse than the computer, but you know, but really they're brilliant moves, and sure they could be exploited, but like he came up with some amazing moves to create that attack, you know. But nowadays, nowadays might be a little tougher to pull it off, but still, it's not like everyone's going to defend perfectly every game, you know. And that's what Kasparov called the attacker's advantage. And you will get king hunts even against, especially your guys are playing, you know, you guys playing like 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, 1,600, right? You guys are playing these club level like up to 1,500 and below. You'll get king hunts all the time, trust me. You will get a lot of fun king hunts, and they're very gratifying wins. You know, it's kind of a fun thing about playing at the club level, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, sure, it's nice to become an expert or a master, but you can really enjoy the club level because it's still intellectually stimulating. You work your way up and see how far you can get. But as you're there, you know, I mean, let's just say at the master level, you don't get many king hunts, you know what I mean? Unless it's 1800s. So when you're playing in the club level, like 14, 15, like 12 or whatever, especially thousands and stuff, they'll let you do king hunts all the time, right? That's why it's very important. But now that you're gonna be really good at them, you're going to move beyond that, right? But hey, while you're there, I may as well enjoy it, right? It's like, hey, while I was moving, I'm like, I'll win that prize money, right? I'll win the below 1,000 prize money. I'll go for the below 1,200. So you kind of enjoy while you're there. You have some good tournaments, try to win some prizes, and then it gets tougher and tougher, and you don't get as many king hunts, but take what you can get. So knight g4, it's a nice way to know how to exploit someone. But this is really brilliant. I mean, he hangs both his rooks now, but look at the quality of pieces though. I mean, the queen is just completely sidelined. And the rook, the only piece that they have out is the rook, and the rook is hanging to the knight. I don't think we're going to give up our knight for the rook though. We're not going to win the exchange. Probably not. We're going to try to win the rook now. So that's the thing. He saw this immediate move. Very direct follow through. Like you're getting that rook, you're threatening mate. There's no way to guard. Oh wait, my bad. Yeah, there is. No, but you have queen g1. No, there's no way to guard the rook. So you're immediately winning. So it's not like he had to see something amazing. He had to see this little tactic. You see, it's a nice little tactic because it's a trap basically. It's a trapped rook because if you take with mate, and if he goes up, you see you insert the check, and then he can't go back because you take as the queen, the knight's guarding. It's mate actually, yeah. So it's just not a nice little trap. So yeah, but that means that they have to give you. So really, it's sacrificing one rook, right? And now that he sees the king is trying to escape, he inserts this one. Oh, and by the way, he doesn't even allow the queen to take the pawn, just to add insult to injury. She can't even come back, and maybe she wants, not just to win a pawn, but to kind of come back and defend. She can't even take the pawn. The queen is unleashed against it defensively. See that? Check. Okay, now we got our rook up. Doesn't care yet. But look, I mean, when you come in and look at this, now we're swarming with the knights. And remember I talked about that C pawn guarding the B3 square? He gets to come in decisively. Pretty cool, right? Okay, let's see how he finishes him off now. Oh, we don't care about the rook. We want the bishop with check. So we could have had a scenario. Oh, wait, I think this is going to be over very quickly. Oh, my bad. I hallucinated. I was thinking if he goes to the middle, yeah, he can't even go to the middle. But I was thinking, oh, you'd have a C5 or something. He can't go there. All he can do is go to B4 then. Okay. Take this one. So we give him a little breath, but keep in mind, we have plenty. We could take a breath ourselves because he cannot do anything. She can't do anything here. So she's just sleeping in the corner. There's like no checks to speak of, right? So, I mean, yeah, there's nothing there. So you have a little bit of time, but now you set up some decisive discovered checks on the king, right? I was also looking at, can you make C5? I'm sure he was looking at this as well. Does this work? I think that the problem here is, again, you can't let them, you see how this consolidation would occur? Look at that. Suddenly it might be, dead on arrival, right? Like, what are you going to do now? You could take the rook, but there's no mate coming up right now, right? It's not, again, I don't think it's terrible, but then they start, but look, now they take your pawn with check. It's not pleasant. Yeah, definitely not. You don't want that. So we're going to try to catch him while we can. We're going for, take here. So now we have an immediate, and funny enough, if the queen would take, she gets skewered actually. See, if she were to take, even if there's not a mate, at least when you move the knight, no matter what happens, you're skewering. I'm pretty sure there should be a mate there too. But see, when you move your knight, move the king, take the queen. But we can look into a mate there. I'm sure there's a mate. But anyway, we know that doesn't work for them. You can't go into that. So they tried, it was a pawn move. They tried E3. Okay, they're hanging the rook. They're hanging the rook so to lure you away. It's not, actually, that's a good move because a good idea, because if the queen takes, they take your knight and you're kind of running out. Oh, I'm hallucinating again. They can't take the knight yet. But no, yeah, there's a lot going on in here. I don't know. They're just trying to lure you away, I guess. Very complicated. I'm trying to figure it out. Takes. Probably then they would take the C pawn and then try to get the knight. I mean, they're trying to diminish your attacking force, have time to take the B pawn and all that, counterattack you. So knight blocks with check. There's that discovery. Check again. Okay, can you guys see where the mate's going to be? Let's try to find a mate before he goes to try to envision it before he gets to D4. It's tricky. He's kind of trying to wrap his way around that pawn.
Is this white or black to move?
This is going to be, well, I want you to visualize it from here. So imagine that the white king has to move to D4, right? So instead of going there, I want you to, well, you can look at it from here then, but we'll just like, we're here already. Let's just do this. So I want you guys to envision that king. So you don't see it in front of you. It's a little better visioning exercise. So imagine he's on D4.
So then the knight
Who's
would
gonna
go
come up
to
here?
B3.
We have two knight checks or different knight
Well,
checks. One
yeah,
knight check on B3.
one on B3.
Can he get out of there if you go to B3? And we can look at different candidate moves too. But can he
Okay.
get out of there if you go to B3? What do you think?
If it goes to B3, yeah, he can get out.
Where can he run from D? So you're again really envisioning that king in your mind on D4. Where would he run from D4?
D
C3.
you said from D4?
Right, because he's
D3.
going to be on D4. Yeah, I think I heard it there. I heard John say it because he's going to be, okay, I'll make an arrow. So he's going to be going here, right? You're going
Okay,
to
he
be checking
goes
him.
there.
When you check him here, where is he going to run to? John said it. What do you think? Lynn, do you see it too? Where he can run? He has a couple of moves, but one of them is definitely better than the other one because one of them, if he goes here, he actually does get mated by F5 mate because the knight contains him here. So we're really working on, again, main theme is being luring him out somehow, super aggressive with sacrifices, whatever it takes, and contain that king.
Oh, then he can
Sometimes you
go
let him
back.
out a little bit, you lasso him back in, but he's going to be contained. So
He
how does
can
he
go
not?
back
How is he
to
not? Why is he
C3.
not contained after this move? Where's he go?
C3.
Exactly, king c3, and is kind of getting out, right?
Right.
You actually run out of checks. You can't take care of the rook's covering. So yeah, we're kind of running out of checks there. Okay, so how about a different way?
Okay, so if he goes from D4, well, he's over there, so he could go right on over to E4. Maybe, no, that would be a trap.
Look at all your checks. You've got also a queen, for example. There are queen checks and there are three different knight checks. Yes, there are three knight checks. There are some queen checks. Yeah, we do have one of those funny things where your queen can kind of like call it like ring around the pawn, where your queen can like go to D5 check, goes to C3, queen takes D3 check, king B4, queen B3 check, king C. So you could kind of, that's kind of funny. You could start, chasing him around. I'm not sure if it leads to mate. It probably does, but it's probably similar to the game, but it's just a matter of, it might take longer. I'm not sure. We'll have to figure it out, but that's probably winning as well. But yeah, I think you have a knight move too. But not B3 because that takes away some squares. You might want B3 again. You might want B3 for your queen if he gets lured in, right? To C3, queen B3 might be mate then, right? Think about that. Yeah, it's funny. You can literally wrap all the way around and be like, just kidding. I'm still gonna make you the same way I was gonna, but you just the only difference is you'd win the D pawn along the way. Then you're back here again and he returns to D4. So I think you can probably do that, but then you're just messing around with your opponent like someone who gets 5 queens. You don't need extraneous.
So the queen's on D4.
So we're imagining the king going here. Yeah, it's our move now. So not knight B3 because he gets to escape. And you don't have, remember, like I mentioned, though, you may want to keep this at your disposal. Queen B3 check. You take that away from your queen. So we're going to go from a different angle with the knight then maybe. How else do we reach the king?
What about the king? I mean, the queen moves to D7.
D7 or even D5.
Oh, D5, yeah.
You may as well go to D5 then, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm getting at.
And then the queen goes there.
Then you've got this one.
Attacks, right.
That's what I'm talking about, right? What I'm saying is you have a quicker way, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because if you go here, it's kind of, that's what I'm talking about, right? It's kind of funny, right? He goes here, you check him here, he runs to B4, check him here, back again. You check him.
Okay.
So he's literally just going around, right? It's kind of funny, yeah? Like literally ring around the rosy kind of thing. But you don't need that. Yeah, but if you happen to do that by accident, you're like, oh wait, that doesn't work. Okay, here we are again. Same thing, but I just took your D pawn. I don't think it's consequential. You just feel like, okay, I want an extra pawn, but you obviously don't care about that. You want to get to the king as quickly as you can, ideally. So let's say king D4. Well, the nice thing about winning quickly is you conserve your energy in a tournament, right? It's like, I don't want to spend more energy than I need to. I want to get lunch and move on to my next round, right? So get some rest in between rounds. There's actually a practical element to winning quickly like this. I actually have a book called How to Win by John Nunn, Winning Quickly at Chess. We talked about Nunn in the chess resources lesson we did. But I just thought about this is definitely an example of winning quickly, right? Not as quick as the other one, but still, what is this? We're on move 23, so pretty quickly. Miniature is around 20 or below. Pretty almost a miniature. So after king d4, where's our check thing, guys? Going back to that. Look for a new check. You guys didn't mention this check yet. Not knight b3. Queen d5 is good, but when you see a good move, look for a better move. Let me make sure I'm seeing it right. I think that should be it. It's very limited. Yeah, that's going to be mate. You're going to be mating him in 3 moves. Okay, what's your other, guys? Look at all your checks. We said knight b3 check. We said queen d5 and queen. So queen d5 or d7, probably go with d5. We have those checks. What's another knight check? Remember, he's on d4 now.
Knight f3.
Ah, there you go. I don't think it matters which knight. I mean, I'm going to use the one farther away naturally, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to use my H knight because it's just not in play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we do that, okay, the rook can take, but then obviously, what do we do in response?
Take the rook.
Right, so we go here. I like kind of switching the colors. They take us. I think that's easier to see, right? So we see we're blue. We just came here. So we check, we go here, check the knight take, check again. And then the king has to go to one of 2 squares. I'm going to make red because those are the squares he gets mated on. He goes here or here. We have a mate. Yes, we do have a mate no matter what. So if he goes to the left on, let's do that one first. Well, we always like to mate him on the central square. Like that's kind of our theme here. So if he goes to e4, where's our mate?
Queen d5.
Mm-hmm. And see, John, then we end up incorporating that move. It's embedded in the line, right? So, but then we already, but queen d5 is more effective once he's already caught there. You guys see how queen d5 would be a mate?
Yep.
Okay, now the last one, if he goes to c3. So remember where we are. We have a queen on b5, knight's on f3, his king's on c3. Too bad I never developed that knight, right? You can really feel the impact of him not developing his pieces. Pieces are just watching helplessly from the sidelines, right? That's what happens. And the queen wished she hadn't taken the rooks, right? Now this is a very good game. It's an example of getting greedy, right? Very good example of getting greedy. First of all, he was really greedy for the pawns. Like, why are you going to gambit a pawn?
Right, he was for the pawn, right?
Yeah. Well, he's like, I gambited a pawn, and now I want it back so badly. And then he,
And that's what I was thinking.
and then he got into a worse position,
Greedy,
took more material, got worse. What's that?
for the pawn, and then he got greedy with the queen for the rooks, and instead of focusing on what right.
And then he didn't develop his pieces. So it's actually, the theme is, some of the themes are very similar to the Immortal game. That's what I was getting at, right? Because he did, and the queen does take both. No, I think the queen takes one rook and the bishop takes the other rook. But yeah, they take both. Queen's on like A1 and the bishop's on G1, I think. And then all his other pieces are swarming. And then he sacks his queen to finish the job. In this case, you don't even need to sack anything else. So basically we're at 3 and 4. So right now we're just down an exchange and a rook for some pawns too. So we're just down a few points, basically, down several points. But our king is a lot more snug than his, right? Our king is nice and snug on e7. His king, not so much. So he's done. So king goes to d4, knight check, rook can take it at once. This is what we call like kind of prolonging the game on paper. That's what a spite checks. So let's say it's going to be like a miniature, like a 20 move game. They might make some moves to make it last like 23 moves. So it doesn't look as bad for them. You know what I mean? It's just a saving face type of thing. But if they were to take on f3, I mean, you could just resign as well. Knight takes back, king to c3. Then queen comes back to where? So
b3.
So you don't need to actually keep chasing him. Yeah, it's kind of like you're chasing someone in a circle, and then you like stop and wait for them to come back, or you turn around, you know what I mean? Because if you keep chasing them, nothing happens, right? Like with my kids, kind of like chase them, and then you turn.
Bye, Leah.
And then you see you later.
See.
Then you catch him that way. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So okay, well, hopefully she got something out of that because I know she was interested in that topic a lot. Okay, so here we are. We'll catch him that way. So I'll play it out. But yeah, you just shift directions and then you meet him right there. You're ready for him when he gets there. So what happened in the game? Where are we? Oh, he went a different way. So I have check. Oh, he resigned. He did go down, but no, he didn't play. So he didn't play on to see this, to watch this happen. Check. Well, then he could have prolonged the game until move 26. But you can see that the fact that the knight went there, it took away vital dark squares, and the queen took away light squares. See? Pretty cool, right? I mean, again, let's look at the flow one more time. So basically, we're just playing a normal game. Like, we're not going for the king yet, but we're just like, okay, first we have this dispute over this pawn, and black wins the dispute over this territory, right? And in doing so, he gets beautiful. See what happens? The knight should have been on c3. The queen ends up there. Okay. So the queen ends up there, and then hold on, and then now the queen gets to go to d5. Okay, I'm demanded. Stand up. Okay, and then we have yep, we catch him. Okay, here, I'll pause it. I'll take out the video for a second. But okay, I'm standing up. So we got okay, let's take a look. So that was one with black. That's pretty nice, huh? Okay. Let's see. Then this one, a hard day's night against Lawrence Day. Let's see. They always come up with something, right? A hard day. Oh, that's good, right? A hard day's night. They're playing with night and day. Let me see which one. This one is
Oh yeah.
that's good, right? These guys with their puns. This one's pretty cool. I mean, they lured the king out. See, they have a kingside attack. And they lure him out this way. So it's like one of those things where you're trying to mate him on the king side and you lure him out. I'm going to play through a few of them. And then we'll get to another one. So basically you sack. You sack. See, the point is you lure him to G. It's a brilliant idea. So you lure him to G3. You get rid of the knight, which protects the G pawn. He's on the wrong side of getting mated. If he's on G1, he's getting mated. He's not getting mated in the corner, but now he's getting mated in the middle. He's on the right side for us because now he's going to get lured into the center. And then he's going to get mated. Actually, wait, he resigned already. He's not mated just yet. Let's find the mate.
I know, I was laughing because the king is running really fast.
That's pretty cool, right? So
Yeah.
but it's very nice. So you see what happened is they start building some attack over here. Check. Okay, kind of strange, right? I guess they're gonna sack the knight on G4. So suddenly, okay, he takes a pawn. Now, okay, what's going on here? So he's just hanging. Oh, he just missed it. Oh, that was the idea there. You see what happened is they didn't look at this nice move. Check and knight e5. So the idea is that it clears it for e5, and then it forks the queen. Well, you're hitting the queen in the c pawn. Now you could take the c pawn, but we prefer the e pawn. So the queen was just very feebly defending those two pawns. Then everything starts being destroyed. Okay, then he's like back again. Okay. Oh wait, did he get a pawn back? Oh wait, what just happened? It was takes, come back. Okay, he got it back. Because it was like, yeah, it's very tricky. So anyway, he got them some material back. But now the attack continues. So we're equal, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, equal material, but look at the position. White, look at black's king. That's ironic. It's ironic because he's safe in the center. Well, that's a good example. Like this king is so nice on the e8, right? No one's getting it. Well, it's also about who has the initiative. I mean, first of all, there are just no pieces that can touch black's king on e8. And the fact that his rook's on h8 is fine because it might be used to maybe it lifts up or something. Or maybe it opens up as it did in the game, open up the h file after the knight g4 sack. So here, and the fact that black has the initiative with all the pressure means, yeah, white's not touching that black king in the middle. He's in the middle, but he's not being pulled into the middle beyond the back rank. White's king is coming from the flank, forward 2, and then up that diagonal very quickly in a handbasket, right? So you're right here. But this is a nice idea, right? So he sacks this, it's very difficult because he's going to take on e3 with the fork. So he feels compelled to take. Then the knight's hanging, moves the knight, has to go to E1. If he goes to G1, then the queen takes on G2. So when he goes to E1, he's covering G2, but then the rook comes in, skewers him in a sense to set up a sack. Because when he sacks, lures the king up more. 4 has to come up. Then he sets up this one, removing the knight's defense of the pawn. Check, check, check. Okay, now why did he resign?
Because it was a bad situation he's in.
What's that?
Well, he's in a pretty bad situation.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. I actually got made
He
it. Let's
he
see.
can't go
He's
there.
he's able to go here.
He
He's
can
not
go
getting
there.
out. He's definitely not getting out. Are we using our rook? I'm trying to think of what's the finish. Are we using our rook maybe?
The finish would be queen to G3.
Oh, hold on a second. Queen
Or
to
queen to B or B4, either one.
how do we catch him here? Here he runs out. Maybe the rook also. Hold on a second.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, oh yeah, other side. That's what I thought.
I'm
Because
sorry.
he's kind of getting into this right here. But how do we actually catch him? Hold on a second.
Okay, how do we
Let me just
catch
let
him?
them think about it again. I'll be right there.
Okay, we're gonna see how to catch him. We're gonna catch him. We're gonna catch him. We're gonna catch him with the queen to C6.
C6. So he can run to
Okay, if he goes to C6, where can he
E5.
go?
E5.
To where?
You can go to E5.
Okay, okay, he can go to E5. E5. Okay. You have to get them rooks out there. I don't know. Okay, because he goes there.
So what do you guys see?
He goes to
Somewhere
E5.
inside.
And then you push the F pawn, John.
I think we don't. I think we get him pretty quickly. We
Okay,
can
how we
still
gonna
get him
get-
pretty quickly because I mean they have no piece. Okay, so they're up a rook, but they have no piece activity at all. Their king is like facing its doom.
Oh yeah, I see
What do
it
you guys
now.
think?
Queen to D5.
Well, almost. That's the
Oh.
only thing they got going for them. Why can't that work? Only thing is they can't do that because
Okay, queen to D4.
what happens if you go here?
Let's see. He would probably
C7.
back up to C.
That's getting confusing because they're in our territory and everything's like flipped around. And okay, so what about this? He'll take our queen, right?
No.
Like remember, they're going up, we're going down. It's weird because they're in our territory.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
So is
Okay.
the queen,
Oh, yeah.
so is
Right,
the
right.
queen safe there? No.
Right. I see that. Okay. Yeah, that's why I said C6, but he said he'd get the runaway.
Yeah, okay, yes. Then he comes back again. We have a few ways to do this. But
Okay.
think about it. He's stuck, right? Now again, this theme of always looking at where that king can run to. So he wants to go to C5 and come out. Well, we need to take away C5 then. But if you go to C6, he comes back to E5.
Mhm.
So how do you keep him out of C5?
Oh, with
You
the
push
rook.
rook over to
Yeah. C8.
C1.
There you go. Final ingredient. We're missing our final ingredient. We got a little spice in there, right? Rook C8,
Right.
drop to C6, instant mate.
C8, yeah.
I don't think they have one move to hang on. I really don't think they have any way to postpone the inevitable, do they? They can't move. The king is petrified.
He should be.
Stuck in the center and a little beyond the center. A little
Right.
beyond the center to invite him into dinner. And there's our final ingredient for him, yeah. So
That's
Rook
why
C8.
he resigned.
What's that?
That's why he resigned. He was
Yeah. He knew Rook C8's coming. I mean, even if you don't find that, I'm sure there's something else. No, but I mean, if you're not careful, if you play like, let's say like, ooh, I'm gonna play F6 to keep him out of E5, then I'm gonna go mate. Then he runs to C5. I don't like the look of that. So you kind of have to find rook c8, but I think he knows that his opponent knows how to checkmate him. I mean, he's done a good enough job already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rook c8, instant checkmate on c6. Yeah, there's really nothing to do about rook c6. That he's going to catch him right there.
So wait a
Mhm.
minute, whose turn is it? White or black?
Well, we just
then-
went through a lot of turns.
Yeah. It's no, it's our turn here.
So
Because
it's black's turn,
he
right?
just ran to d6, then he just chose to resign.
Right, he resigned.
Yeah. But rook
So-
c8's gonna finish the job.
So rook
Because we're gonna be
c8,
going to c6. Or we can't stop rook c6 mate.
and then what?
He resigned.
Yeah, but if you play it through, because
Made it through, yeah.
what do you do next? Now it's their move. They can move the rook, right?
Yeah, so where would the king go?
Right now, he can't go anyplace.
Yeah, he's stuck. He's just stuck. Because I mean, look at those pieces on the back rank. I mean, with those pieces, with those, we have a guest that just came over. So with those rooks on the back rank, yeah, just nothing to do. The queen on the back rank. There's no way they can really influence any affairs any further, right?
No, and it's a shame because he has all his power pieces sitting back on the back rank doing nothing.
Yeah, but it's the same. It looks it looks sort of funny the way they're like, right? It's like he's got his feet, but they're not moving anywhere.
Right, he's stuck.
Yeah. So you can see those. You
Chopped
can see
liver.
these themes again. We're looking. I wanted to show you a few examples just so you can see the diverse array of of patterns, ways in which you can make this happen. Let me look at it quickly. Flip it this way again, just so we can see the concept. Just kind of flip through a couple. I love that a hard day's night. I wonder if there's maybe there's something even deeper. Like what if the Beatles were playing there that year or something like that? But yeah, you got Lawrence Day with
I
his.
think we looked at this a few years ago.
Oh, we looked at it a few years ago when we were looking
Yeah,
at
a few
it.
years ago, David.
I
'Cause
didn't
re-
replicate. I
remember
didn't
the
replicate
hard
the
day's
lesson
night.
though. It's not a replicated lesson though.
No,
It's
but
a
I
fresh.
remember the
But
hard day.
we may have had the same game. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it'll come up again, right? But yeah, I'll give you guys fresh lessons. Although, yeah, I mean, if there's something from like 3 years ago, I might bring up a study like once or twice. But and even in studies I did like 3 years ago, there's maybe 6 games, so we can always revisit them, like the positional sacrifices or something like that. But there's always more games to find, to explore. So anyway, yeah, really nice play in general. Like this game is worthy of deeper analysis beyond the king hunt. Just the way in which the way in which he plays on those dark squares against the Maraxi bind setup, C and E pawns, keeping us from advancing, right? But he's working those dark squares, right? And in doing so, he's working dark squares with knights, which means he's hitting what? Because it's a hard day's night. Well, if the knight's on the dark square, it's hitting the light, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even work, we can go a little deeper with that there. Hitting light squares. From darkness to light. So we have but yeah, that's how it works, since it moves like an L. Anytime you're on dark, if you have dark square control with a knight, though, that means you're actually attacking light squares. That's important to know.
That's important to know, yes.
So I mean, it depends on the position, but generally speaking, yeah, like if we know we could sink a knight into like G3, we're gonna be looking at all the light. We're gonna really be working on light squares.
Mm-hmm.
So we have yeah, beautiful here. And he takes it. He probably didn't see the whole thing that he had conceived of. It's brilliant. I mean, brilliant idea, because it looks like he's like, look, I'm gonna, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna just take it and come back. But no, we don't let him come back, right? That's why we sack. Okay, so now we're down. We're for all this stuff, we only have to invest a rook. That's not that much, especially because it's a forced checkmate, right? Oh, and if he had, oh wait, there's another one here. Now we lure him this. Ooh, there might be some rook involvement here. Check. Mate. Oh no. Oh, no, get to castle and mate. Okay, we'll do this. That's kind of
Yes, move your king up, yeah.
yeah, that's mate. There's a famous Lasker game like that where he moves his king to D2, and he could have castled as well. But did not sound good.
But he didn't have the castle right
That did
there.
not
He just
sound good.
moved the king and that was the end of that.
What's that?
I said he didn't have the castle right there because all he had to do was move the king, and that's closes out that game.
Yeah, pretty nice, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right, let's go then. Let's see. So I showed you guys one with, where you saw two with black and one with white, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anderssen's Fairy Tale. I mean, let's see, which one is this one? It's in Paris. Let's see. Let me see which one this one is. This is pretty cool too, because here's one where he's smashing right here to get to the king, right? Because there's a good example where black has overextended with G5, right? So he hits him with F4 to he's forcing open lines, right? Now he tosses in a capture. So he's like, oh, I'll take the bishop. Nope, I'm throwing in a check now. Now he's going for mate on H7. See, it's the same concept, right? This is one of the main ways in which we do it. Like one way is like the fried liver, we pulled him right out to the middle. The other way is we go for a kingside attack and he tries to evacuate, right? Threatening mate on H7, right? So it comes in here. Check, back. Now we just keep dominating. I'll go look for my way is. Okay, come over here. Come back. Wrapping around a little bit. Starts doubling up. Just like, look at that. Look at that show of force. That's nice, right? I mean, this is already, you can look at a position like this. You're like, look, computer will be like, oh, it's +6 or whatever. I mean, obviously white's dominating this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't even lost any pieces. We're not even down anything. I mean, beautiful positioning. So it's completely winning. But again, you have to finish them, right? It's all about finishing.
Mm-hmm.
Now you might even, I'm seeing some tricks already happening with the knight. You have a queen, rook takes check, and then queen takes queen check. If we can move the knight, we have a rook. Do you see the idea of rook takes check? So we got to kind of like pierce the fog of war and look through a few things to get there.
Mm-hmm. This is where you sacrifice pieces.
Yes, to get to
yeah.
this kind of position. Now
Yeah.
we're doing it. See, check, he moves.
Mm-hmm.
See where we are here. Check,
Mm-hmm.
check, take, check. That's nice. So
Mm-hmm.
he sees that, gets away. That feels like the other game. Remember where there was a knight and a queen in there attacking the rook? Different direction, same theme. Remember that? Remember there was a knight on the G2 queen on F2. Now we have a knight on H2, H7 and queen on G7. They give it up. Now we're up in exchange. Oh, that's not good. Crash through. Check. 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 Ah, look at that one. What is this? That's interesting, right? So he sees, so like, look, he knows he's got him, right? But he's like, look, I see you're trying to do something with a bishop check. Whoa, I didn't look at that move. I was briefly looking at it earlier. I didn't notice this move. King H1, what a brilliant move. Prophylactic move to make the whole thing work. He's already got him here, but look, I think it's because, okay, so he goes here next. Check this out. If he were to do it now, let's see, I think rook blocks. If you try to take the rook, king takes with check. Right? So pretty annoying, right? He's got stuff like that. So he's like, let's just not give you this bishop diagonal nonsense, because he didn't have a mate. So he's like, let me take a little bit of time. But again, like he's already up in exchange. He's already winning materially, but he needs to finish him off now. So check. Ah, there's another check. Check. See, no more king takes check though. Check. He's doing B4 check. It's not about the C file, it's about the B file. Check. Oh, look at the reach of those pieces. Beautiful use of long range of his pieces, right? Let's see. Look at it. If you flip through it real quick, look at the queen. So she goes D3 hitting H7. Then she goes from G3 to E5 to E3. Rooks lift up on the F file. Then she goes from G3 to G7. She takes on H7. Then she goes to G8. Rook comes all the way down. Then she hits down diagonally. Then the rook hits on the C file. Then the rook hits on the B file. The other rook on the third rank. Queen on the second rank, coming all the way down coming down 6 ranks, right? Rook check, mate. Nope, not mate. No, never mind, not mate yet. Wait, check. Then we use the rook and queen together, and then we mate. What a king hunt, huh? Amazing, right? But I mean, look, again, if you look, let me show you. Like, if we look at this position, once you see this, look, I mean, we're not even down. Look, I mean, it's like Leia said, she was asking about, is there an example where you don't have to sacrifice? This is a perfect example. Like, look at this position when he doubles. He's just piling up. Like, this is completely winning. Like, look at the computer eval right now. I'm sure it's very, very high, like +6 or something. It's +4, okay. But it's a completely winning position, right? Almost as if he's like more than a piece up in evaluation, right? I mean, just dominant. I mean, yeah, I'm sure black has some ways to hold on, but it's still considered losing. It's more than a piece in value, right? So, yeah, and he just keeps building. Just keeps building and building and building. I love it, right? Check. Using the long, great demonstration of long range power pieces. Really showing the power. This is how you really exploit an open board. Pretty open, a lot of open lines. I mean, D pawns are locked up, but besides that, tons of open lines to use, right? Really showing that, working that diagonal to D6, the F file, the G file, the diagonal to F7, right? Everything. Check, 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 check. Little pause. Here we go again. Check, 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 check. Amazing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Can
see.
you go
Let me
back,
see.
David,
What's
can you go
that?
back a couple, can you go back a couple of moves?
Let's see. Like before the king wrapped over this way.
Okay, now, okay, go ahead, next move. Okay, and then
Nothing
if
much
you,
he can do. So he actually hangs the rook,
oh, I see it,
but
okay,
but he already knows that. But he sees that he has the check here.
yep, I see it.
So he sees that he has what was the pattern. He sees he can force his way onto light squares now. So he all he needs to know is he has this position. Then he's kind of like a ladder mate. I don't know exactly what you call that. It's like a box ladder or something, right? Where you box them over. Because normally it's going to be next to each other, like A, B, C, D kind of thing, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he's going B and then jump over to D.
Yep.
And he goes from D over to F. So I don't know what you'd call that. Big steps. So, okay. Why don't we do one more?
That was really cool though, the way he boxed them over diagonally.
Yeah, it's nice to know that pattern if you haven't seen it. It's like, I guess I would call it a variant of the ladder. I mean, I don't know exactly what the name is. I know what it is, right? But I view it under the umbrella of ladder mates.
Yeah.
But there's probably a name for it. It's kind of like there's something called, I didn't even know for a long time that it was called the blind swine mate. Nikki said that, where they're like two rooks. It's almost like, I guess it's like two rooks like like bumping into each other until they hit the side. They don't even have to know what they're doing. They're like blind swans, just keep hitting each other until they end up in the right place and they checkmate him on the side. Two rooks in front of the king, and there's a rook in the way when he's castled. That's called the blind swine. But I need to know the pattern, right? But it's useful. The name is useful, I guess, in communicating it to others. Okay, so it called unorthodox opening. That's because there's not a rook on the board. So it's zero opening 0-0-0. So it's not a real position, but they've removed a rook. So Steinitz versus Rock. It's called Rock Bottom. So this is from 1863.
Wait a minute, David, why would they remove the rook? This is not
Because he's so much stronger than whoever this Rock. I mean, Rock is almost like an NN where they say no name, just like a random person, right? So it could be like, maybe they're like a strong, a strong club player or like a weaker master, but probably
okay.
they could be a master, like effectively what would be considered a master, but much.
That's like giving him an advantage.
Yeah, it's odds. Yeah, you're giving him odds.
Okay.
Like a handicap. Yeah, because he's so much weaker. So yeah, it's like you can have an extra rook and I'll still beat you. Now Morphy did, so he actually played a guy in a match. The guy actually beat him, I think, a couple times being up at night. I think what Morphy should have done is like not meet him, because Morphy would attack in the middle right away and open lines. My thinking is that, not to improve on Morphy, but I think Morphy would have shown his skills even more if he had. What I do is I feel on kettle my bishops, so they can't meet you in the middle. But not meeting him, he'd preserve his pieces. He wouldn't get to do his typical attack, but that way he'd avoid trades. Because what the guy did is he just traded everything and didn't work out. I think if Morphy had like not met him in the middle yet, although he wouldn't have central control, but I'm sure Morphy would have figured it out, right? But he ends up meeting him in the middle. The guy trades and he survives. Now in this case, beautiful demonstration. But he's treating it like a typical opening. He's like, look, I would have mated you anyway if we had played normally, and I wouldn't have used my rook in the corner. So you have to beat him before you would need to use that rook. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you basically deduct the rook, but like, okay, makes no difference to me. But if you get into an end game, you're going to lose probably. Okay, so you got those bishops coming out, just like in the Evergreen game. Look at the Evergreen game with Anderssen. Now, by the way, very interesting match where Steinitz defeated Anderssen. What's that?
No, I'm just looking at the position here.
Pretty cool, right? Now, I don't know about D5, But here's the problem. He's pretty much in trouble. He's in trouble immediately. So he takes castles. I don't usually recommend going knight f6 because you get hit by e5. Doesn't tend to work out very well. Bishop a3. I mean, that's if you're going to take the pawn, right? When you take that pawn, you don't want to get hit by e5. So now he's threatening f7 with mate, by the way. I mean, he's already in huge trouble. You can't go queen e7, can't go knight e5, can't castle. He's already in big trouble. So he tries d5. Okay, takes. I mean, that was his bet. Oh, that was actually a pretty decent attempt. Because then he's like, oh, I'm gonna challenge your queen. He's like, okay, fine, you deal with that. You have now deal with the check on the e-file. Decisive check. Okay, bishop blocks to lose it. And then he takes. Like, okay, I now I've got a bishop back, but now I'm gonna lose my queen. So this is a nice one to finish on. But it's very direct because you have the two bishops cutting through the diagonals. You got a check. King comes out. Got another check. And that's what I mentioned earlier about sometimes it looks like he's about to escape, like to c8, right? So he's about to escape, but he doesn't because we go bishop e6 check. And you see, it's interesting. Speaking of variations on a theme, it's like the ladder mate, right? This is kind of like that. We're using our two bishops. The two bishops cut him off. Hold on. I'm right here. I'm doing class. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I'll be right there. I'm being demanded to walk. Okay, I got you right here. All right, 1 second. Well, I think after this game, I'll have to keep. After this game, then I'll head over with them.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, we got plenty of good stuff. There's a lot of good games to look at here. You guys can. I'll send you guys the links. There's a lot of meat in these games, isn't there?
It is. I
Yeah.
enjoy looking at all of them too, because they all are attacking.
They're all
I
what?
think
Sorry.
I'm coming from an attacking mode. I like attacking.
Oh yeah. Let me send you guys the link to all those games.
Okay.
So what we do is we hit him on. So we use the e file, but it's very important that my bishop on a3 does not let him get out. Now again, time is of the essence. So we don't have time to mess around with our queen. We just go ahead, take our queen. But look, okay, so now you're down a rook. You're getting back a bishop and a knight. And you're down a queen, by the way. So what do we have? I mean, materials are irrelevant, right? We have, oh, and the brilliant thing is that he gets back the knight with checkmate. So we're down a bunch of pieces, right? Okay, just a minute. Check. Comes out. Don't let him escape. Check. 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 Hey.
Wow.
Beautiful, right?
That's
Nice
cool.
finish,
I
huh?
love it. I love it. Okay, David, thank you so
All right, I
much.
guess it's time to go then.
Yeah,
But,
you gotta go.
let me send you guys before the, okay.
Are you gonna send it through
I'll
email
send you guys
or you
an
gonna
email
put
then.
it in the chat?
Yeah, I guess I gotta run. But yeah, awesome games though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it very much, David. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Nice job, guys. I'll see you next week. I'll see
All
you
right,
next
bye,
week.
John.
Bye. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.